Hey, my host is Professor Olusola Kehinde, the recently appointed VC of the Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, ma.
Good to see you today.
Nice to see you too.
My pleasure. I can see that we've seen what we don't even expect. Your versatile acres of land and much more activities going on within the campus, despite the fact that we drove in very early. We've been here in the earliest hours of 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Congratulations on so many achievements that we've seen around without even talking to you.
Yes,
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
So let's start this way. What are the main objectives of Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta?
Okay. Thank you very much. The Federal University of Agriculture, Abeokuta, was established January 1, 1988. We have a tripodal mandate of teaching, research, and community engagement, otherwise known as extension activities. For teaching, we're supposed to produce manpower for the country who will be able to engage themselves in agricultural practice and allied courses. And secondly, we're supposed to do research that will lead to an improvement in the agricultural practice in the country. And thirdly, we're supposed to also make sure that we impact our communities immediate, and for us as a University of Agriculture in Abeokuta, the southwestern part of Nigeria is more or less a catchment area. We're supposed to improve the practice of agriculture and related fields in this area. So those are our tripodal mandates.
So how much of these objectives have you been able to achieve?
Well, I would say we've gone through a lot and we've been able to do a lot. If you take them one by one, for the teaching, the graduates were produced since our inception should be over 20,000. There are well over 20,000 graduates that are making their marks in the fields of agriculture, sciences, engineering, and related fields. That's number one. So we have produced manpower for the country. Number two, we have also come up with research results, innovations, inventions that have helped in the practice of agriculture and also related fields.
Can you give us examples
of such
innovations?
There was a time that from this university, there was a product that we once came up with. We call it odorless fufu. You know, the traditional fufu that we make, once you want to start eating it, the odor is the first thing that you smell. But we came up with one that was odorless. If you take that fufu, you'll not see any odor. Of recent, the last 4 or 5 years, our scientists came up with a chicken variety, chicken type that we call Funab Alpha. Funab Alpha 1, Funab Alpha 2.
Okay.
We've had cause to release some crop varieties into the market from our breeding experiments. In the sciences, in chemistry, in physics, our researchers have come up with innovations that have assisted even farmers in the areas of improving their technology. So we have all of this. In fact, there was a time, year 2006, that we came second at the NUC Research Fair, organized for all universities in Nigeria. Our research products, the innovations from here, came second all over the country. And so we have been doing this and we'll keep doing this. And then for the community engagements, we have impacted our communities.
How?
Thank you. The villages around us, almost all these villages, though we're not a private business, but you know, there's what is called CSR, corporate social responsibilities. As a corporate entity, we have reached out to them. You go to these villages, the farmers there, they are feeling our impact. We have a unit in this university, we call it Agricultural Media Resources and Extension Center. They selected villages around us, even up to Osun State, and they go there to make sure that the practice of agriculture is improved upon. And then for those that are around us, we invite them to come annually. We hold what we call Farmers Day. Sometimes it even extends up to 3 days that we hold for them. They come in, we train them through improved and new systems for practicing agriculture. And sometimes we also help them to facilitate them between them and private sector so that they can get help. That center does that. So in terms of making impact, we have also made some impact in these villages and towns around us. So for the tripodal mandate, we have done that.
So the community you've impacted, are they actually generating values from your experience and your impact on them?
Yes, they're generating values. They are coming up with new things. And for instance, Nestle, there was a time Nestle Nigeria Limited. Nestle came to us, we partnered with Nestle, and due to that partnership, we introduced Nestle to some of these villages, to the extent that the farmers there became outgrowers, contract growers for Nestle. So when we improve for soybean, when we improve that crop, we take it to the farmers will produce and then give it to Nestle for multiplication. I mean, they will have multiplied and sell to Nestle. So in this way, the farmers have added to the economy around, and they too, they have benefited positively.
That's a beautiful experience to share.
Yes.
Because Nestle is a multinational company
Yes.
here in Nigeria.
Yeah. And then we have reached out to one or two that are also doing that. For instance, presently, we are in partnership. We have a relationship with British American Tobacco. And they came and said, well, we know you are training graduates. For these graduates, unemployment is out now. So they will sponsor graduates from our university to start a Greek farm on their own, funded by British American Tobacco Foundation.
Wonderful.
So we'll do that on campus, and then we also incubate them, so to say, before sending them out to continue on their own. They started with two graduates per year, but as we speak, they are now going to choose 4 per year because of the progress that we have made. So any of our products, our graduates that is interested in agriculture, crop or livestock, you just say, look, Nestle is going to fund, BATNF, they're going to fund you, and then we will also provide land and facilities, infrastructure for you. If you want to do poultry, we'll give you poultry house. Just buy the birds with the funds from BATF, and then you'll be able to be well grounded. After about 3-4 years, then you can go out on your own and continue the business.
Okay, because the finance is there.
The finance is there.
Of British Tobacco.
Yes, British American Tobacco Foundation.
Thank you very much, sir. From the look of things, funding is always a major problem in education in Nigeria.
It is.
The research disclosed that the budgetary allocation to education is poor. What is the experience for agricultural institutions, universities like this?
It's also the same. The experience is the same. Though we have all agreed in Nigeria that government alone cannot fund education. The government will try its best. For us as a public university, we receive funding from 2 major sources when it comes to government funding. The government gives us what they call capital grants. The capital grants were to use it to make sure that we do some things on campus. It's a capital grant. It's a grant, but then as far as they could fund us, that's how far they will go. Then, of course, we have TED Fund. TED Fund deals mainly with the infrastructural development, staff development, library development. So, TED Fund actually has done a lot for us. And we all know that, well, TED Fund, its funding comes from profit from private sector businesses.
Okay.
So, but for government, they give us capital grant annually, and then they pay salaries, personnel emolument. The federal government takes that completely. But beyond that, and then they give us also annual recurrent grants. But that annual recurrent grant, I can tell you that for this year, it's about 5% of the total recurrent grant that we are going to spend in the university. So if we are going to spend 100 million, the federal government will give us 5 million.
So for the incoming government, what do you have to say your request on funding of education in Nigeria?
Yes, the request is that the government should really look into this deeply and come up with a model that can work. With the current model that we're running, it's not working. How do I mean? Like I said, there's capital grant for capital development. There's also recurrent expenditure that we go through. We all know the current level of inflation is now 22.22% as at the last count, and it's increasing. But as much as the funds we're getting are not enough, we're also in this serious condition of federal government institutions are tuition free. So in this university, we have about 18,000 undergraduate students.
Are they not, are they being trained free? Don't they
They
pay
are
school
being
fees?
paid free, ma.
Zero free?
Zero free. The only things the minute things they pay for, ID card, item, health, NHS, health
Insurance.
insurance, health insurance, maybe some ICT fund that we use for their examination for those who will do computer-based tests. In all, the totality of it, our undergraduates currently is all these charges. We call them not school fees, but school charges. These charges amount to 38,000 naira in a year.
In totality?
In totality, for one student, 38,000 naira. And these are what we call third-party funds. They are really not meant for us. If students pay 5,000 now for ID card, or let's say no, we pay about 2,500, 3,000, we will have to go and get the materials that we will use to process the ID card, do everything, to give to them. If they pay for ICT in terms of computer, they want to do computer-based tests, because that one will involve you, the systems, those who will run it and all of that. These are charges we collect for that will be transferred to those who are going to provide the services. But when it comes to tuition, it's tuition free. And the implication is that there are other expenditure items. For instance, probably you will have heard this. There was a time I was reading in the news, Unilag said every month, energy cost in Unilag is about 80 million in 1 month. On this campus, energy cost is about 30 million in 1 month.
And how do you cushion that effect?
Well, we think out of the box to do what we call IGR, internally generated revenue. That's when we think of what can we do to ensure that some money comes in. On this campus, we have about 80 hectares of oil palm plantation.
Okay.
From there, we produce palm oil. We sell palm oil. We sell bottled water. We sell sachet water. You get it?
You are now also a manufacturer.
We are forced to do that. Sometimes also we run part-time programs that we charge some minimal fees, and I call it minimal fees because if you charge too much, there's competition all around. Private universities are bound. There are also different educational institutions. So we engage in such activities that can bring in one thing or the other.
To keep the institution
To keep
going.
the institution going. You can imagine energy costs, diesel, IBDC charges going to 30 million in 1 month. In a year, that's 360 million. And the current budget from federal government for this year is 112 million. And yet, to run the energy need of the university will cost us about 360 million.
So it takes strategic thinking.
Exactly. Thinking out of the box, looking at whatever way, going to the private sector, calling on private sector to do sometimes PPP with us, public-private partnership. And look, we are open to it. Sometimes also, we encourage our researchers to write for grants. And when they get grants, if a researcher here gets a grant of, say, 10,000 US dollars, the university takes about 5% as commission to manage that grant. So the 5% will come, but we all know that all over the world now, such things are not as easy.
So because I was about to ask, have you been privileged to access any grants recently?
Internationally, yes,
Sure.
yes, we have been.
Okay.
We have been. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation have come to our aid. The Funab Alpha chicken type that I said we produce, Funab Alpha 1, Funab Alpha 2, that research was funded by Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to the tune of about $250,000.
Oh, beautiful.
$250,000.
Okay.
We have had researchers in the recent past who came up with about $100,000 research grant.
Oh,
Help me get it. One that I was involved with, we got about $60,000 to conduct a survey for an international organization on oil palm production. So we do have some of this, though definitely when they come like that, research grants already have fixed items that you must buy with them. I'm going to buy equipment.
they have their purpose.
They have their purpose. You must buy equipment, you must do the research, give us report. The only advantage is that the things you will have bought, by the time you finish the research, they belong to the university. You're going to buy an equipment, an incubator, a refrigerator, sometimes a vehicle, becomes part of the university assets.
So I can see that it has been a beautiful journey. You are not doing badly.
You're not. As a university of, I can tell you that sometimes last year, there was a ranking of universities in Nigeria. We came number 9 out of over 200 universities in Nigeria.
Wow.
We have a college of veterinary medicine. We have, to be modest, one of the largest veterinary teaching hospitals in Nigeria. And that's part of the way we also try to, people bring their pets, their animals from town here for treatment. And when we saw that the distance could be a discouraging thing, we also went and we established an arm of the veterinary teaching hospital in town.
Okay.
And so, even if it is 200,000 a month, at least it's still something we'll make from there.
Thank you so
and
much.
That College of Vet Medicine, by the time the ranking last year was done, it was the best in Africa.
The best in Africa.
Wow. It was within the first 200 all over the world. Okay. But in Africa, it was the best.
Okay. Beautiful.